Much about American beer, but when I went to Europe, I discovered really good beer, fresh, crafted beer. So I thought it'd be a good idea if we could get that here, because even the imported beers here from Europe were no good. Well, you know, the German beers or the English beers, whatever they export to the U.S.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they took so long to get here. They weren't stored very well that it was all stale, and it had that cardboardy, gluey, stale taste. So, very disappointing. Became apparent that if a guy was going to get a good beer in America, he's going to have to make it himself. So I went back to England and studied the brewing process. Picked England because the brewing methods are make wonderful, rich, interesting beers in a pretty simple way. So I spent a year in England studying and traveling around, mostly by bicycle, visiting pubs and small breweries, and gained a lot of information. Came home, built a little brewery, and started selling beer, and that was in 1983. So 30 years later, we're still doing it. Must have been a good idea, because there have been a lot of people also doing it. A lot of breweries in the States, and that's really a wonderful thing for beer variety and creativity in this country. You know, America now has the most interesting and creative beers of anywhere in the world, and we have tourists coming here just to sample our beers. Pretty great. Right. Well, the idea came to start a brewery, but didn't have much money. But I knew you needed stainless steel equipment, and the dairy farms around us there in rural Washington, eastern Washington, where I started, there were lots of surplus dairy tanks around of various sizes. So I began to gather in those and buy them and modify them and equip them to make beer. So the first brewery was made entirely of repurposed dairy equipment, but it was very inexpensive. We built the whole brewery and got started for an investment of about $25,000. So that's pretty cheap. And several friends of mine in town were also taken with the notion, and they helped me come up with the $25,000. So they're still partners today. It's been a fun ride. It's interesting about beer, it does create a passion in people. And the people that work here have a passion for beer. And it doesn't pay as well as it should, but they love doing it anyway. And we have some people have been helping me for many, many years. Some people have worked for me almost the whole 30 years, and many more in between there. And like you say, everyone seems pretty happy working here. I tend to delegate and let people kind of have free reign, so I think they enjoy that quite a bit. We have a saying that I picked up somewhere. We have the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. So as you start an endeavor, you know, the main thing was making good beer, having it locally produced. You know, a big focus from the beginning was local production. Like I said, the beer that travels to us from a great distance is ruined in the process of traveling. And also there's the notion that let's buy and sell locally to help create health in our local economy and employ local people. And also that you find the passion is strongest amongst the smaller, more intimate places. You know, the willingness to take a risk is much greater in the smaller operations. The big operations that can actually afford to take a risk rarely do, because I don't know, there's something about that big company inertia. They're scared to do anything different, or they'll mess things up. The little guy, he's perfectly happy to do different stuff because he just scrabbling there. So that's kind of been a guiding force, is let's keep focused on the beer itself, the quality of the beer, and really having fun doing it. So our main thing is the beer, And then the people that work here to create the beer, they're very important. You know, we'd be nowhere without all the people here that make the place make the place work. We do ship to Idaho and Oregon, but that's kind of out of necessity. It'd be best if all our beer was sold in Seattle.
Okay.
But since people were buying Oregon beers in Seattle, we figured, well, we better sell some beer in Oregon. It's not so far away that the beer wouldn't be still pretty good, but best if it's bought and sold, created locally. But by growing just 10% a year, we can self-finance that and carry on. And it seems to be the best plan. At some point, we could level off. It may be that we're at 10,000 barrels. That might be an excellent place to level off and just focus on doing an excellent job at what we're doing. Is this buy local movement catches on, and hopefully it will. The opportunity to be a really big brewer will kind of go away. Because if people are focusing on their local products, they won't be buying beer from St. Louis or even California because it just doesn't serve the purpose, and it's not as good either because it's traveling that distance. So perhaps the big brewers just will not be able to survive, and they'll be replaced by many hundreds of smaller brewers, employing many hundreds more people, producing many hundreds more different kinds of beer. To me, that's a rosy future. Not very good for the big brewers, but they're mostly run by their stockholders anyway, so not that big a loss. I'd much rather see big brewers go away than have small brewers go away, because then you know the people you're losing. What are they going to do? So I think truth, quality is on the side of the small brewer, and that I'd love it if big brewers just went away. But